Welcome back, everyone. Part 8 here of the track chair. We're doing welding, disassembly and welding here. My brother was just out here the other weekend. We flipped it back over so it's upright. I came in here and finished welding these gussets on the top side there, so those are done. The other remaining item was this parking brake bracket. It was tack welded on there. I drilled and tapped those and then broke the tack welds, so that is done. I'm gonna clean up the tools right here, and then we're gonna get the roll cage off of the truck here using the crane. We'll set it back on the main frame here, and then I'm gonna start welding on that. So let's get to it and get it off and get to welding. Crane makes short work of getting that roll cage lifted over and back on. It went on quite nicely with those big pins that I've got that it holds down on. Lined it up, dropped it right on. So now we'll disconnect the straps there, move the crane out of the way, and then I'm going to do some welding up around some of the joints there, and then I'll probably take this back off just to do some of the smaller stuff closer up. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to get back to doing some welding here. Alright, got some welding done here on the roll cage, and I also went ahead and did pretty much all of the grinding to clean things up, mostly around like these areas where around the window frame where the Plex window is going to close on that needs to be smooth, as well as up top there where the roof sheet metal goes on, and just clean up any weld spatter, that sort of stuff. I think I've got pretty much all of that. So floor's dirty again from all the grinding dust, so we're gonna wheel this thing out of the way, sweep the floor. If I find any other spots, I'll get to them later, but I think I'm probably 99% done with this portion. So we're going to get it out of the way, and then I'm going to move on to some of these other sub-assembly areas. Got it rolled over here by the big door. At some point this will roll into the trailer to take to sandblasting and powder coating. But I've got it out of the way, and we've got the next parts. I've got the next part staged here. This is the engine cradle and the upright rear frame part that goes on that cradle. There is some welding, grinding there. I've got to weld that bracket on. That's for the second alternator. We're going to cap those ends. That vertical tube, that's part of where the servo for steering mounts, as well as the throttle. And we're going to cap the end of that tube. Same thing over here on this side. For the left hand servo mount there, going to get that welded on, get it capped, and then there's some stuff underneath. I'll use the crane to lift it up, and I'm going to cut off a little bit of the unnecessary brackets that were left over. Try to save a little bit of weight and also just clean it up underneath there. So we're going to get to working on this next here. Alright, I've got all of the welding done on these two pieces. This one I've gone ahead and used a flapper disc grinder and cleaned everything up. Getting the weld and spatter cleaned up around those caps on both ends here. And this one's pretty apparent, so I want that to look nice. For example, these have been welded but not ground yet. So you just kind of see the spatter and it doesn't look real pretty. So next we'll use the flapper disc, clean these up, and then these parts will be done. We'll move them out of the way and grab the next set. So I finished grinding the welds on this one. They're all cleaned up there, especially on the caps where it's more visible. And now I've used the crane to flip it up here, and we're going to trim off this tab here and here. Trim that bar and that bar off. We don't need those. This little one here, and then I'm going to do something here with this. Trim that off. Just to get them out of the way, make a little more room underneath where the air tank and battery sit, and just get a little bit of weight off. Alright, I got this piece all trimmed up here. Got that lopped off, those trimmed off. There was a tab here that I cut off, and then I cut off those C-channel parts there. So we got a little pile of steel we took off there, and got it all ground up nice. We're gonna get this moved out of the way, clean up a little bit, and move on. So next up here for welding is the battery tray. As you can see here, that's aluminum, but on the other side of it that I already took off was a steel frame, and I left on as much as I could there just to minimize disassembly. But I took off the steel frame, which is right here. It's just tack welded together right now. We're gonna finish welding that, and then there's kind of some gaps here where I cut out that tube. I needed some clearance there, so I'm gonna cap the inside there to keep you know, dirt and that sort of stuff from getting in there and rusting it out prematurely. So get some pieces cut, and then get this little piece welded up, and then keep on moving. The battery tray is all welded up now, the frame. Got those little ends capped in there. Some little pieces I cut. Also added some spacers on the underneath here and here. And that's so that the middle of the aluminum tray can get screwed to that and not flex. Got those on there. So this can now join the growing stack of finished welded parts over here. So next up here are these down bars that go on the roll cage. They go on a receiving pin up top and then connect to the main frame down low. Got some welding to do on those, particularly these flanges that go on. There is the second one right there, and then there's also this hoop right here. So we're going to get those welded next. I got those two roll bar down bars welded all up, and then I got this back hoop right here all welded up, and for ease I put those on the frame here, checking fit, and then it also will allow me to transport it to the sandblaster and powder coater easily. Next up, I've got these winch anchor leg assemblies. So this one has not been welded. Got to get a little wire brush action there. They've been down in the dirt. This one I did wire brush, and I've got that all welded. Those welds are also on the back side and all the way around the angle where the two 1/2-inch pieces come onto that angle. So this one is done, and we'll do this one next. Alright, so as we wrap up part 8 here of some welding, just showing here these winch anchor legs right there. Got those all welded up. Then I've been welding up some miscellaneous stuff here. I TIG welded this offset switch bracket that goes inside along the dash on the left there in the cockpit. And then I've been organizing this box of small parts here. Some needed welding, some a little grinding here and there, cleanup, and then I've been writing out a list of what's in the content so it's organized. Got quite a few there, and then I've been working on staging up some parts for the next time I'm up here to do some welding. So that's all for now. Thanks everyone for following along. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks much. Bye.